With the angsty breaths. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at a Patreon request. Shout out to Shelby for the request. This is OnlyOneOf's track entitled Sage. I am very pumped for this. I loved when I looked at Dora Maar and then took a listen to Picasso, and I did hear that this one choreographically was different in focus, which makes me very pumped to see the differences of. Not only that, I do know that the lyrics are going to be in the music video here, and I was told to take a look at the description of the music video before watching as well, just so I can get a better context like I did with the last one, and I ended up enjoying it more, I think, by doing that, so I will do the same here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I wonder if her arms hurt from having to hold him up that long. Okay. Okay, so I did know, like, ooh, okay. I do know that they, in the description, of course, whoever made this song also had a hand in a couple of BTS tracks as well, which I think is cool, and they've heard some of those as well, so I see some form of correlation. Not only that, I think that it's, in the basis of the description, it said that they are pleading, like, the very beginning, Forbidden Fruit was their first track. This one is like, okay, at the end of it, they're asking for forgiveness and to please be saved, but God turns their back on them. It's back on them is what the description said, just in a nutshell. And then what I find interesting, though, is based on the lyricism, they're referring to their love interest, is what it feels like, as God, right? And then in my head, I'm thinking, because then also in the description, it says that there's enough Easter eggs in here where those can create, like, people watching can create their own individualized, like, perspective of what they take from the music video, which is kind of cool, though. Like, it's very deep, and you can take a lot, you really pretty much take anything off of this and feel somewhat right, and that's kind of interesting, right? How to direct a music video to get that intention across, which is very, very dope. I think for me, it feels like they're trying to make someone their God, that like their love interest is what it feels like, and they won't, I guess they can't save them. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's very fascinating, and it makes me intrigued on the discussions. I can see why those of you who are fans of this group, you guys have fantastic dialogue in the comments, and I read everything, even if it takes me a hot minute to respond. I do read it all. So, thank you. Don't shy away from commenting, even if it takes me a bit longer to respond to you. I love the dialogue, and even here it feels very, what is it, like a controlled environment is what this feels like, where it's like, I know, like, the mother is this Mother Mary, and like the Catholicism is kind of what it feels like, right? And like, I don't know, maybe like the what's the right way to put it? It's just interesting. It just makes you think, right? Feels like there's this a bit of a structured environment that's talking about religion, maybe, and these are imageries within that, like the forced nature of religion, or that you're being controlled by it, or something like that. Now, for me, I treat my relationship with Jesus as a relationship, not as a religion. But we can get into that in a completely separate video, because remember, this is about OnlyOneOf's music video. It's not about my personal beliefs, and that's fine. But yeah, in a nutshell, I do find it interesting, even with the dancing. Like, we're about to watch the dance practice. It's fascinating that, like, with the dancing, I wasn't able to appreciate it, or I was actually more intrigued about the other elements and not the dancing, even though I'm a dance choreographer, and that's why I watch these, is for the dance. But I really was so, like, I was so in it, like, really trying to figure things out. So shout out to whoever directed that. That was cool. All right, we have the dance practice. Now we get to focus on the dance. I like how we're hitting the bass. That was a nice cannon. Doesn't surprise me that they can do tension well. They absolutely can. Now, they did have those extra interruptions in the tail end of that pre-chorus. Not tail end, in the middle of it. I don't think it was needed. They said, and a lunge. Oh, the dropout was cool. A lot of unison in our phrases. Interesting. That was cool. There's that sound that you were hearing in that chorus. Part of me wishes we hit that. One of my guys is looking over to make sure. This is so fascinating. With the angsty breaths. Okay, from the top here. So, I will say, I'm gonna be, you know, I try to be as honest as possible in these, but of course extend grace where grace is allowed. I do feel like in between Dora Maar and this one, I really feel like the Dora Maar choreographic structure, formations, the staging, the spacing, level utilization, dynamics, texture on them collectively serves them way better on this niche of concept and lore that they have established. And so, saying that a little bit simpler, how they're hitting this, a lot of it's more on the choreography and how it's structured to this track, for how deep and how, like, you can glean and take what you want from it. And it's very rhetorical, you know, like, I guess, metaphorical, like, there's a lot of imagery that you can take from it. I feel like the choreography feels very mainstream, so it doesn't quite match in terms of, there's a lot that I can get from the choreography to the same, it feels imbalanced, I think is kind of my nutshell vibe about it, but we'll still talk about it. They still did it pretty decently. A lot of unison, though, a little bit too much for my personal taste for the type of concept it is. So they rotate the wrist around across the chest, boom, boom. I like the head on that. Then they expand it around. They use it. They reset on the elbow, trace it across, and then they reset it down, coming right back up. Do-do-do-do. Now the question is, how was that unison or was that a ripple? Let's see. One of them was just early, I think. One of them reveals himself. He comes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a group of 7, point. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So he takes his hand. I love that. His rotation around, throws it down. That was sick. With the extra bounce, with a little shimmy. Totally fine. We slide through. We turn. And now we have natural symmetry. He takes his hand. He presses it up and down. So, good start. I would say the beginning's pretty fine. I think it's near the pre-chorus is where it starts to fall a little bit for me. So they cross it over, head rotation, and they have these nice little kind of jabs that are going on with the point of the fingers, which I find to be really fun. And then I like the tension where they pull the energy front, and then the bass is really nice on the chest is fine. They reset. Notice there's 2 basses in the sound that justify those bass choices and the movement quality. There's another time they end up doing it that doesn't quite hit, and we'll tackle it if I encounter it again here. So they rotate it down. Notice it is still pretty unison in this little niche right here. It just feels, I don't know, maybe I was spoiled a little too much in the beginning, and then here we're looking at this one. It feels a little bit underwhelming in just the structure because it feels like a typical boy group, I guess. That's trying to be angsty, not an in-depth, abstract concept that we've already seen them do. But there's a chance I think this one's in the earlier stages of their discography, not later. And I do know that the creative director of this place is Jung, and Jung's the same person who did the lore for Luna and their pre-debuts in early era work. Now, I don't think I like him as a human really at all, just based on the context of what's been disclosed on how he treated Luna and how there's a chance that he may be extending that to them. I hope not, but we can't be ignorant of that. If he's done it with one group, he can do it to other groups. So just kind of keep that in mind too. I do have that operating in my head as well. Their lore doesn't surprise me, the depth of it, because of who's affiliated, but it is hard for me to be like super gung-ho or feel that they have 100% say in stuff. I know they have more say than a lot of groups do, but also I know who's in charge too. And does that kind of make sense? I hope you guys are understanding that I'm looking at a new OnlyOneOf track, new to me track, with a different lens than I did the first time. So there's a lot of that I'm navigating through too. But that's okay. Like, that's what makes me excited for discussions. I'm always wanting to learn and grow, especially in context of certain concepts like this. So I like the little trace on that, which is fine. Then there's right here, you have some speed change going on with your 4 in the middle, and then you have your outliers on the outside, like the rotations, and they bring it through. I like the subtlety with the head. I love those choices. They create a nice box on it. They reset, and I like how we push that arm forward and allow the sternum to have a nice little moment to a ball change. We come back up, rotating it through that boom, boom. Nice on the double on that. But notice all of this here is very, you know, I mean, I like having the little peel on the tail end of it, but it just, I don't know. We go to a spot, we do some unison, we do a dynamic. We go to a spot, we do unison. It feels very formulated, which I don't actually, maybe it could just be I had an expectation, and maybe that's wrong of me too, to have had one of this group in particular because of how captivating Dora Maar was, and that's fine. I'm not discrediting what they're doing here. I think it's very formulated for the depth in which other facets of their lore has showcased time and time again, even in the music video for this, you know. And I kind of felt that way in the music video, like seeing the dance parts, which could be why I was naturally drawn towards the other elements and not the dancing. I think this is why. The peel is fun. I didn't mind that, and the little travel through with the trinkling up of the fingers is fun. The placements, boom, boom, do-do-do-do. I like it with the knees, do-do-do. And the bass travel of the energy. Then we reset down. The levels are fine. Da-da-da-da-da. That's fine with the pulse on that. It's cool. Then we have another that baby. That was cool where they go extend the hand. He rotates it around. It's very quick rotation through, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, through. Nice cannon on that. So it's not a ripple because of they're doing two moves. They're not just doing one. Let me see if I can pinpoint it. So they're going in and then up. So it would be considered a cannon, like a really, really, really fast cannon. Different start and finish times, which is fun. So this melt, notice the tension. This is probably one of the best parts, and it's because they know how to handle tension very well. Very fun. I love the bleed on that. Nice little sweep around. Great choice to go to the floor, rolling onto the hips, and then they press up. Very nice choice into the reach. Then they speed change to come back up. I love that. That was really nice. Then they bleed it through. I like the connection where they have their head looking at their hands. That looks really nice. Then we have this bleed. Da-da. They go ta-ta-ta-ta, which is also fun. Then we go bleed, bleed, bleed. So you have three of them still speed change in the back, and then they bleed up, da-da-da, and timing. And then they join in there. That wasn't quite as clear on the tail end of the finish. That's a choreography thing. Then that little boom and dun, dun, dun. And it comes back in, boom, da-din, ding. It's just not, it's not the cleanest either. Like, the range is pretty off on this, on their arm placement. So it could be that too. It's not this crisp, clean vibe that I think could really help advocate for some of these choices they're pulling. But I do still stand by how I feel on this. The pulls are fine, good. Pulse in the back, or it's how they cross that leg behind them. And then you have the shoulders. Then they rotate it through, so a nice little wrist rotation. And then they do a little chug through, and then you have the shoulder. And also, I don't know what it was, but I think it was my guy in yellow and then my guy in the stripes. Notice their shoulders are different rotations. Oh, no. Actually, it was somebody else. It wasn't him in the yellow. Maybe purple. Hold on. Yeah. If you look at the stripes and the purple, it's somebody next to the feature on that. So it's not these two, it's these two. So watch it one more time. Their shoulder range is off, and that's what threw me off about it. Yeah. The clap there is nice. I like how he does a little subtle pull. That was really nice there. They pull da-da-da-da. So I will say I do appreciate whenever their transitions, they're not just walking to their next spot, they're doing content to get to their next spot. That is a lot harder to do than you think it is, because each individual person has to modify the choreography ever so slightly to where it calibrates it to their traffic pattern to get from their point A to point B in their spacing, while still maintaining spacing with everybody around them. So that was really nice and clean. I appreciated that moment. It was nice to see. And then the kick on that was nice, and then, you know, like the accent. So there's a lot of like ISOs that are happening, or fixed points, where they have to take one body part and keep it still, or counter push it or pull it in order for another visual to take place, so you can maintain an illusion of that focal point. That was a lock-in. I like the twinkling in on that. That was fun. The pick it back. The da-dee-da-dee. So that was really nice too. The brushing it over. I like how he folds the hand. They all fold over at the hinge of the hips, which is nice. And then another little shimmy moment, which was fun. And there's your two columns. Da-da-na-na-na. And this was nice. Now that was a nice surprise. I think that definitely surprised me for sure. The pulse on that was cool. Little snakes were cool. And then my guy in the center didn't surprise me. He didn't super snake that. Snaking is the concept of giving the impression of you are a snake, with the crown of the head being more of that priority in what motivates the direction of your body roll sequence, is kind of the best way to word it. But you notice there's this sound. we never hit that on something. Like, they could totally hit that, and that's a choreography note. That is not a dancer note. Most of my notes that I give to the choreo, a lot of it is not really affiliated to the members. It's affiliated to who choreographed it. So keep that in mind too. I'm not dogging them at all. They've actually set the track very well, and they do a great job on charisma and stage presence. It is solely what I'm talking through is the is how it's structured. I don't think it sets up the lore for as much success on the choreographic front like we've seen already from Dormar. So that little yeah, we're hitting these like little pulses that we've already kind of hit already, but there's this really dope hinge particular opportunity that could have been taken that was never taken. So that feels underwhelming in this section, I think, is my big note here. There's that pulse. It's fun, but we've already kind of entertained it. When there's other sounds we could really hear too. And it feels like the sound died out. It looks like they died, which I think is super dope. It's just cool. They hit, I like this here, boom, da-doom, and they take it, and this is very interesting where we have the head responding to what's going on with the wrist, switching over. I think that's fine. And then a nice little knock on that is cool. The pulse is cool, a little punch, and da-da-da-da-da. Now, some of them are using their back, and some are using their elbow, so that would be my note there, because the elbow makes them more isolated. When you use your back, it allows the whole body to get more involved in it. Some are doing one, some are doing the other, so that would be my clarification on that. And the timing's slightly off on that, too. And that the little jump rope vibe, it felt a bit rushed in that section, but that's a choreography choice. Yeah, like all of this right here, I don't know what's going on. One of my guys is hitting it very clear. Whoops, what did I just do? Oh. Somebody asked me if I needed to figure out who is the resident choreography cleaner. My guy would be this guy right here, would be my guess out of everyone. I could be so wrong, that's fine. He's doing everything very clear to me. A lot of people look very marked. Yeah, he just feels very full and very clear, and a lot of times when you're in the position of clarifying choreography with people or you're cleaning it, the movement's going to feel more full and more clarified on your body as a byproduct of that. So that would be my guess, is Mr. Yellow is our cleaner. If I'm wrong, that's okay. He does a great job. MVP goes to him today for that. The hit through, the throw is fine. I just think the second verse is very cluttered in that beginning section, not quite clear what we're supposed to focus on. The transition with the footwork, it didn't feel like we really focused on that as much as we needed to, or we needed to modify it because it wasn't as, people were not pursuing it in the same degree of fullness that it needed to be for it to leave as much of an impact of that section. Hinge, da-da-da-da-da, subtlety, boom, boom, boom. My guy right here looked a smidgen tired there. It could just be how he did it. It felt very laid back when it needed to have more intensity to it. We're not in the bridge. We're not in like a chilled out section. We're in a very intense part. So taking a laid back approach in your movement quality or in the content is something that I don't feel. If it's a choreography choice, we need to pursue a different avenue. Or if it's a physical, like how you're doing it, you want to have more intensity, usage of the back and core to make that more impactful with power. Yeah, the da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, all that there was fine. It's very interesting how unclear certain sections are. The slide through was really cool. Yeah, that's another thing. His timing and how he got to his spot was really nice on the slide. The head was cool, rotation was nice, do-do-do-do-do, so they all peel away. I think they peeled away in their respective groupings is what it looks like. Let's look. Maybe? A triple on that, possibly, where you have 1, 2, 3. I don't know, but anyway. And then you have one of your guys right here coming up. Then he snakes through. The wave is fun. I like the pulse up. Da-na-na-na. Rotating the subtlety with the knees. It's fine. Yeah, baby. So we've all dropped. Then you have a new feature up at the top. That right there, the little bleed over, that was fine. I like his intensity right here. But the sound dropped out, so it was more complex to get the timing right, which they did. Or maybe it's hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, da, 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 da. That's fine. That was fine. Yeah, so he does that. Boom, da, da. The drop down is fun. Like honestly, if they took that and they hinged it, that would have hit everything and would have made my heart very happy, but they didn't. That's a choreography note. I really wish we made that adjustment. The accent there at the top, and this right here. Now we have this dropout, nice little angsty moment. We don't have as much timbre, tonal color to justify, and we're just hanging out, having a good time, figuring it out, right? So you have your two sides. He has this moment. Now, I want you to look at this guy right here. This is something I see all the time in the dance studio space, not really in the K-pop choreos, so this would be my note to him. He's looking up to see what's going on. I don't know why, because he should know what timing he's on. I just find that to be really, really fun and interesting. And I like that he has this moment. Cool. And then you have your four walk to their next spot. No, actually, everybody walks to their next spot except for your Mr. Purple. So he reaches, lifts him up. The pulls are fine, so it's different choice in the finish on this. The height on that, my God, it's crazy. But I like the subtlety of absence of movement coming from Mr. Purple in the middle. It's fun. The hit accent is fun. Some subtlety going on with the upper body. And then we have our moment here on the chest, and we kind of do a little scoop through with our hand. It goes out and out, which is nice. We drop it down. We hit the hand up. Punch, 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 which is also really nice. Then we hit it down. I like that part. The fullness of that was really nice of the head. The pull was nice. So we have our energy, boom, with the push through. Subtlety here, boom, with the head. Then we'll switch it back, boom, doom, with the head. Once again, bringing it through. So we switch one weight to one side and then we bring it over to the other, which is nice. We hit it around, and there's your subtlety with the bounce, bounce. And then we throw it away. And then we finish with a nice little ending fairy finish. I mean, in general, I didn't mind it. I think it was fine. I mean, it doesn't match the track. I unfortunately don't think it does as effectively on the quality that I'm normally used to seeing from OnlyOneOf. Remember, when I do give anything constructive, it is pertaining specifically to the group and the choreographers affiliated, not to when I compare them to other groups at all. If anything, I only do a comparison when it's a movement or a part of the song reminds me of another group, never out of a, or if they're covering another group, that's the only other case. But when it's their own discography, I compare them to themselves, right? And now I'm curious about something. Okay, so literally the difference of time between this one and Dora Maar was 2 months. And I'm telling you right now, it feels like a 2-year difference. You know what I mean? And that could very simply be just the structure of the choreography. It felt like we did a complete 180 on it. Now, do I dislike the choreo? Not really. I actually like it. I think there's some really cool moments. I, however, do feel that some of the structures and the phrasing of the choreo and how they chose to transition with the content felt a bit muddled, felt a bit cluttered at times. It didn't feel like with certain segments what would make that movement look captivating is the synchronicity, not just the angstiness of it. And sometimes having an angsty individuality about it makes it feel captivating too, but it was hard for me to appreciate those moments whenever some of our moments when we really needed to be clean in the unison wasn't reading as that. But that's just I'm one take of many. Don't take my word for it. I don't work with them one-on-one. I'm not in the room. I don't know the turnaround time. I don't know any of those things. So we got to give them grace for that. And that's fine, And I think too, like the track is dope. And I like the fact that they have the lore that they do because it's very thought provoking. And I like being able to look at groups with that in mind because it allows me, I feel like I grow more or I'm inspired or I can just respect that. I can respect that artistic kind of niche vibe that way more so than not, So I'm here for this. I don't mind it at all. And I'm intrigued on the commentary for this for sure. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch, and thank you, Shelby, as always, for incredible requests. I really enjoy taking a look at this, and I'm very intrigued on more OnlyOneOf tracks. I think it's honestly more shocking just the short time period between this one and Dora Maar, and just the shift of the choreographic intention is low-key incredible. So I am very much a happy camper knowing that there are different vast interpretations that we've been able to see, and I'm very, very intrigued on the conversations that we are going to have on this. What kind of interpretations did you glean from the music video of this one? I would love to know. Once again, my name is Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.